You ever feel like your wife or your girlfriend's not really present anymore, or like she's just going through the motions? One minute she's warm and affectionate, the next she's distant and distracted. She turns down your advances, acts like being around you is a chore, or even treats you like you're one of her kids. And if you're like most husbands, when you feel your wife's attention and attraction slipping, what do? You either double down on being the perfect husband, buy flowers, get nicer, try harder, or you swing in the opposite direction and get bitter, cold, resentful. And in doing either of these, you kill whatever desire she had left for you. But here's the thing. Every mistake that kills her attraction has a fix. And when you know what you're doing, you don't just stop the drift, you flip it and you make her chase you again. Now, in this video, I'm gonna show you the 7 nice guy mistakes that kill your wife's desire and how to fix them without becoming an asshole and without talking to her about it or going to therapy. Hi, I'm Bobby Rio, and if you're dealing with a dead bedroom or a disrespectful wife or just sense that your wife has lost her passion for being with you, I want to tell you about a client of mine, Mark. Mark was the textbook good husband. Successful guy, great provider, never cheated, always remembered anniversaries, but his wife Diane had basically become his roommate. No passion, no flirting. They were kind of like business partners raising kids together. And Mark is sitting there thinking, I do everything right. I help with the dishes. I listen to her problems. I never complain. Why does she act like I'm invisible? So what does Mark do? He tries harder, buys her jewelry for no reason, plans romantic getaways, asks her constantly what's wrong, 17 times a day. And Diane just gets more distant because Mark, like most good husbands, was making the classic mistake. He thought that being a better roommate would make him a better lover. Well, in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the 7 things Mark was doing that was slowly suffocating his wife's desire, not because he was a bad guy, but because nobody ever taught him the difference between being a good husband and being an attractive one. And now look, before we get into this, I know what some of you are thinking. Bobby, what about her? Why is it all on me to change? What if my wife is a bitch? What if she's the problem? And listen, I get it, your wife probably isn't perfect. She might be moody, demanding, unreasonable sometimes. Hell, she might be doing things that are driving you freaking crazy. But here's the reality. You can only control what you do. You can't force her to change. You can't logic her into wanting you more. You can't nice guy your way into her respecting you again. But you can control your own behavior, your own energy, your own frame. And here's what's wild. When you start fixing these 7 mistakes, when you start showing up the man she married instead of the people-pleasing roommate that you might have become, a lot of her bitchy behavior starts to disappear on its own because half the time her attitude isn't the problem. It's her reaction to you not being the masculine guy that she needs you to be. So this isn't about kissing her ass or ignoring her faults. This is about reclaiming your masculinity so that she can actually feel feminine around you. Make sense? All right, let's get into it. Let's get into the first one. Mistake number 1 is thinking gifts or flowers create desire. So let's talk about the first mistake, that's killing your wife's desire. And that's when you think that flowers and gifts and compliments are gonna turn her into some sex-crazed maniac, like you're running some kind of romance points program. Okay, I bought her Starbucks this morning, 50 points for me, complimented her hair, another 25. If I vacuum the living room, I should get enough credits for sex tonight. I had this one client, Dave, who literally had a system where every Friday, like clockwork, he'd stop at the gas station and grab one of those sad little bouquets wrapped in plastic, and he'd present them to his wife like he just bought her like crown jewels. Surprise, honey. And then he'd spend the Saturday wondering why she wasn't like jumping his bones, because in Dave's mind, flowers equaled romance, equal desire, equal sex. But here's what Dave didn't realize. His wife could feel the transaction. She wasn't thinking, oh my God, my husband is so romantic. She was thinking, here we go again, he wants something. Because that's what happens when you turn romance into a vending machine. You put in flowers, you expect sex to come out. And women, they have a sixth sense for this stuff. They're not stupid. She can smell a transactional compliment from 3 rooms away. It's not romantic, it's actually emotional bribery. And the worst part is, it makes you kind of lazy because instead of flirting and being playful and building sexual tension with her, you think, well, I'll just surprise her with a spa gift card and it's gonna get me laid tonight. What you need to understand is this. Desire is not created by what you give her. It's created by who you are and this experience she has when she's with you. The tension and the buildup and the desire that she feels around you, that is what gets you laid. That's what makes her attracted to you. So the second mistake is using her as your therapist. Mistake number 2 that's turning your wife into your roommate is you're treating her like your personal therapist. And I don't mean like you're being emotionally available, because that's fine to a degree. I mean, you're turning her into your emotional dumping ground every time life gets hard. You had a rough day at work, you come home and you unload 45 minutes about how Steve from accounting is an idiot. You're feeling insecure about your promotion, time for you to deep dive into your childhood fears and your daddy issues with her. Your boss was mean to you, better call an emergency session with Dr. Wife. Well, here's why this is so bad. Because you're forcing your wife into the masculine role. She has to be the strong one, the stable one, the one who has her shit together, while you're being the emotional, needy one, seeking comfort and reassurance with her. You basically flipped the masculine-feminine dynamic. She's supposed to lean into your strength, not the other way around. When you constantly need her to manage your emotions and fix your problems and validate your feelings, you're not being her husband. You're being an emotionally needy, dependent roommate. And there's nothing sexy about a grown man who needs his wife to hold his hand through every life challenge. Because here's what happens when she's forced to be the rock. She stops feeling feminine around you. She can't feel soft, vulnerable, and sexy when she's busy being your therapist and your emotional caretaker. Look, I'm not saying to be a robot. You gotta feel your feelings, but maybe don't make your wife the sole customer service rep for your emotional needs. So the third mistake that's slowly suffocating your wife's desire is you've turned your marriage into a never-ending relationship seminar, and I get it. When you sense your attraction's fading, you want to go into fix-it mode. Maybe you go buy a book like Men Are From Mars or Love Languages or one of those books you find at Barnes & Noble, and now you want to work on the relationship with her. So honey, how do you feel about our intimacy this week? Are you satisfied with our communication? What can I do to be a better husband? Bro, stop. You sound like a little bitch. Here's the thing. You might look at it like you're being proactive, doing the right thing, trying to improve the marriage. But it's not a good look for a man to act like this. Plus, your wife starts to feel like she's trapped in couples therapy with no therapist and no end date. Because here's what you got to understand. When you're always processing the relationship, you're forcing her back into that masculine analytical role. She has to be the one explaining, defending, reassuring. Meanwhile, you're sitting there like an insecure girlfriend asking, but do you still love me? Are we okay? What does this mean for us? What I always tell clients I work with is, don't talk about it, right? Just do the things that will make her more attracted to you. She doesn't have to know you're working on it. Do the things that'll make her sexual with you, feel sexual desire, and leave her out of it. Don't talk about it with her. Don't even tell her you're trying to change or any of that. Just do the things that spark her desire. Now, I cover some of these things in my video, 5 Ways to Reawaken Your Wife's Desire and Respect. Now, that video is on my channel, and if you haven't watched that one yet, I'll link to that below. But let's get into the fourth mistake that you make. All right, mistake number 4 that's killing your wife's attraction is you've taken happy wife, happy life, and you've turned it into terrified husband, miserable existence. You think keeping her happy means agreeing with everything she says, never having an opinion that might cause conflict, and basically turning yourself into a human doormat with a wedding ring. Now, here's the brutal truth. When you stop challenging her, when you stop having your own thoughts and desires, you stop being interesting. You become predictable, safe, boring, a nice guy. She wants a man who can stand his ground, who has his own opinions, who's not afraid to playfully disagree with her, because conflict creates tension and tension creates attraction. When you eliminate all friction from your relationship, you don't create harmony, you create boredom. She starts looking at you like you're like a golden retriever. You're sweet and loyal and harmless, but a woman doesn't want to fuck a golden retriever. So let's get into the next one. So mistake number 5 is just always being around. You're just always fucking there, and it's annoying. You work from home, so you're there when she gets up. You're there when she gets home from work. You're there on weekends. You respond to her text within 30 seconds. You check in throughout the day. I was at a party with my friend Chris and his wife once, and Chris and I walked to use the bathroom to take a piss, and Chris literally texts his wife, "Hey babe, just using the restroom. Be right back. Love you." And I'm like, dude, your wife doesn't need to play-by-play that you're going to take a piss. Come on, dude. Now, I'm sure he thought he was being sweet or attentive or whatever, but here's what was really happening. He was suffocating her with this constant presence because Here's the thing about desire. It needs space to breathe. It needs a little mystery, a little wondering, a little where is he and what is he up to? When you're always there, always accessible, always hovering, she stops missing you. She stops wondering about you. She stops feeling that little spark of excitement when you walk through the door. Because why would she, right? You never left. Look, I'm not saying that you have to disappear for days or become emotionally unavailable, but you have to have your own life, your own interests, your own schedule. Go to the gym, meet up with friends, work on a project in the garage. Give her some space to actually miss your presence, because a woman can't desire what she can't escape from. All right, so let's get into the next one. Number 6 is no competition. So the 6th mistake that's killing the spark is you've made her the only thing in your life that matters, and you're not giving her anything or anyone to compete with for your attention. And I don't mean necessarily other women, although I'll be honest, sometimes your wife needs to see another woman is into you. One thing about women is they need to know other women feel attraction towards you. She needs a reminder that you actually have options. But that's not actually my point here. Here I'm talking about your passions, your goals, your mission, the things that used to light you up. What happens to a lot of guys is you give it all up and you focus on being the perfect family man. And what's funny is a lot of times what attracted you to her was your interest in the fact that you went out with your friends and you had hobbies. But then at some point, women do what women do. They complain and they bitch that you go out with your friends too much or you spend too much time playing golf or whatever. So you think you're being a good husband and you think stopping that is gonna make her happy, but it won't. Because what most guys don't realize is that your wife is kind of testing you, not consciously. This all happens at a subconscious level. She's seeing how easily she can get you to abandon the things that make you interesting in the first place. And when you fold immediately, when you give her up your passion for her without a fight, she loses respect for you, because deep down, she doesn't really want you to give it up. She wants to see that you weren't the kind of man who would abandon his purpose just because she complained about it. She wants to feel like she's with a man who has something driving him besides making her happy. She needs to feel like she's competing for your attention with something else, something meaningful. Not another woman, but with your mission, your goals, your purpose. So the final mistake, and mistake number 7 that's turned your marriage into a polite business partnership, is you stopped flirting with your own wife. Remember when you used to tease her and challenge her and give her a hard time about, her terrible taste in reality TV shows? Yeah, you traded all that banter for politeness. Now you compliment everything she does like you're her personal cheerleader. Oh, you look beautiful, honey. Great job on dinner. You're so smart. Well, I had this client, Paul, who used to roast his wife about her obsession with home decorating shows. He'd walk into the living room and all the furniture would be moved around again. And Paul would be like, oh great, playing musical chairs with the couch again. Should I start charging the coffee table rent since it's been in 4 different spots this week? And his wife would laugh, throw a pillow at him, tell him he was an idiot, but she loved it because that playful tension, that back and forth, that's what created the spark between them. That's flirting. Then Paul decided to be a supportive husband. Now when she rearranges the furniture, he's like, wow, that looks great, honey. You really have such an eye for design. And his wife just nods and says thanks and goes back to her phone, because Paul killed the playful energy that made their relationship fun. He turned into a yes man who treats every interaction like he's trying to get the good Yelp review. But here's what Paul forgot. Women don't want to be worshipped. They want to be engaged with, challenged, teased, flirted with. That playful friction you had when you were dating, that wasn't something that you grow out of. That was the engine of your attraction. When you stop challenging her, when you stop giving her a playfully hard time, and when you start treating her like she's fragile, you don't become a better husband. You become boring. She married the guy who would tease her about, putting pineapple on pizza. Now she's living with a guy who nods supportively at all her food choices because he's afraid to disagree. Now look, I'm not saying to be mean or disrespectful, but bring back that playful edge, that teasing, that energy that made her fall for you in the first place. Because the woman who's never challenged is the woman who stops feeling excited to be around you. Now, before we continue, I know that what you're thinking after hearing all of this is, okay, Bobby, I see the mistakes I'm making, but how do I actually change this stuff? Because here's the thing, knowing what to do is only half the battle. The real challenge is rewiring the beliefs that are driving these behaviors in the first place. Like intellectually, you might understand that you shouldn't be asking permission for everything. But in the moment, you still default to, so what do you think, honey? Or you know you shouldn't dump all your problems on your wife, but when you're stressed, that's still your go-to move. That's because these behaviors aren't just habits. They're driven by deeper beliefs about what it means to be a man, to be a good husband, to be in a relationship. Beliefs like keeping her happy is my job, or real love means total availability, or conflict is bad for the relationship. And until you replace those attraction-killing beliefs with ones that actually work, you're gonna keep falling back into the same patterns. That's why I created my 21 high-value belief installation audio, which is designed to identify and eliminate those nice guy beliefs that are sabotaging your marriage and instill powerful high-value beliefs that make you naturally attractive to your wife and other women again. Beliefs like my mission comes first, and tension creates attraction, and I lead, she follows. Now, you can download the audio at the link in the description, because knowing what to change is one thing, actually changing it, that takes the right mindset. All right, let's do a quick recap of the 7 nice guy mistakes that are slowly killing your wife's desire. Number 1, thinking flowers and gifts create desire when all she feels is transaction. Stop trying to buy your way back into her pants. Number 2, using her as your emotional therapist. When you're constantly dumping your feelings on her, you're forcing her into the masculine role, and there's nothing sexy about parenting your husband. Number 3, always wanting to talk about the relationship. Stop turning your marriage into a never-ending couples therapy session. Sometimes the best communication is just living the relationship. Number 4, taking happy wife, happy life to mean you can never disagree with her. You've turned into a yes man, and yes men aren't like attractive. Number 5, being overly available and never giving her a chance to miss you. You can't desire what you can't escape from. Number 6, never letting her compete for your attention. When you give up your passions and you make her your only focus, you didn't become a better husband. You became less interesting of a man. And number 7, forgetting that teasing her and challenging her is what built the original attraction. You stopped flirting with your own wife and you started treating her like she might break if you disagree with her. Here's the truth. You're not a bad husband, you're just being a boring one. And boring doesn't create desire, I'm sorry. Now, if this video is resonating with you, in addition to my recommendation to download my 21 high-value beliefs audio, I also put together a free 7-day Rebuild the Spark challenge for married men, and here's how it works. Each day, I'll send you a short 5-minute video and one simple exercise to do that day, delivered straight to your inbox to help flip the polarity back, reawaken your wife's desire, and make her feel that masculine presence again. These are real field-tested moves. No therapy, no awkward talks with her, just small shifts that spark a big change. It's free, it's private, and it takes like 3 to 5 minutes a day to go through this. So click the link below to start the day 1, because the moment you start showing up differently, she will too. And as always, if you found this video helpful, hit the like button so that other guys, other husbands can find it. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And most importantly, as I begin to cover more challenges that come up in relationships and marriages, leave me a comment below letting me know the topics that you'd like to see me cover in future videos. Again, there's a link in the description below. Take part in my 7-day Rebuild the Spark challenge.